Seriously, Bud is brought to you by OmniSend. OmniSend is a top choice for email and SMS marketing on WordPress, perfect for WooCommerce shops. Easily connect with customers and send out awesome campaigns every day.
Hello, my name is Bree, and welcome to Seriously, Bud, a podcast featuring an unexpected conversation with someone in the WordPress community. And now it's time for my dad, Bud Kraus.
Thank you, Bree. You know, I had so much fun last week speaking with Corey Miller. I thought I'd do this all over again. Now, I'll be back at the end to give you my thoughts about this week's episode. It's number 40. So here we go. Hey there, pardon my interruption. I just wanted to take a second to tell you about the WP.world. It's the place to go to find out what people in the WordPress world are doing and let others know what you're doing too. That's the WP.world. Now back to the show.
Yeah, let's just say yes.
Or was it lost at first sight? That's what it sounds like
We'll
to
say
me.
we'll say it was love. So we got married this year, actually, in August.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. So you're a newlywed, very newlywed.
Yeah, we've been together for a long time, though. We've been together.
Yeah. We'll get to what you do in a second, although, we don't talk about WordPress, but it'll get in there. But what does your wife do?
Well, she started out in journalism. She used to work for a company called Narcity, which is, at the time, was Canada's largest digital-only publication. We have the CBC and we have all of, CTV and whatever, but those are like TV, print media, whatever. And Narcity was basically had all of the traction on social and sort of digital format news. And she was the lead editor for Ontario for that organization for several years. And after that, when we moved to Niagara Falls, she started her own thing. So she does a project called Tipsy Theory, which is digital media, but focusing on Niagara, Prince Edward County, and other Ontario places of interests, winery and restaurant focused news. Very similar to BlogTO, if anybody knows what BlogTO is for Toronto. She does that for the wider Ontario region. And that does all right. When she's not doing that, she's helping me in Groundhog, and she does like all of our socials and all of the content. And
So you guys both work at home.
yes, I have an office downstairs. She got upstairs.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. She read my mind. How do you, because, you got to stay out of each other's way.
Absolutely.
And when are you going to have kids?
Soon, ideally. There's no real hesitation there. Kind of just like when it happens.
Now, wasn't that a ridiculous question for me to ask?
A little bit. Before we started, I said that I was an open book, so I have to live up to that expectation.
Well, I know, but everybody says they're an open book. They're really not. No one's really an open book. What did you study? I know she studied journalism, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Pay attention, Bud. And she studied journalism. What about you?
I did computer science. Big surprise. I never finished, though. I actually dropped out.
Why?
I didn't go to class because it was boring.
Right.
At the time, I was working on another project that sort of is the precursor to Groundhog, which is FormLift, which was still around. It's not a huge moneymaker, but it kind of served its purpose. It was a form plugin, but specifically for Infusionsoft. Anybody remembers that product? It's called.
I do.
What it would do is you would connect it to Infusionsoft, and then you could import all your web forms. And then allowed you to like style them and move fields around because their built-in solution for that's just archaically terrible.
You know what? Why don't you have a Torontonian accent? You didn't say project. It's project, not project. You don't have an accent.
I'm not familiar with that inflection because I say Toronto without the second T, right? Toronto. Because like you're from Toronto, you don't say Toronto.
Right. That's right. That's right. Right. Toronto.
I'm not familiar with project inflection. Project. I'm not familiar with that.
And I haven't heard you do an A yet.
I do a lot of A when I'm not being recorded.
I do have friends from Toronto, so I do know how they speak. And you don't really speak like them. I find that kind of interesting. Where in Toronto did you grow up?
I grew up in Bayview Village. We were in Toronto for maybe 15 years before I moved here.
Okay.
And before that, we were in Brantford, which is where I kind of had like until I was in like grade 7 or grade 8 or something.
Right.
And then we moved to Toronto, and then I did high school in Toronto. And that.
Now, you did mention about Groundhog. You are the founder, are you not?
Yeah, I'm the guy.
You're the guy. Okay, tell us a little bit about Groundhog. I'll give you like 2 minutes to tell us all about it.
Here's the elevator pitch. SaaS, software as a service, CRMs, your HubSpots, your Salesforces, your campaigns, right? More context you pay more money, right? Once you go from 500 to 1,000, 1,000 to 5,000, 5,000 to 10,000.
Now, hold on, before you continue on. For people, hold on, because there's people that may be listening here that don't know what you're talking. We're talking about an email marketing distribution service, right?
Yeah, among other things, customer relationship
right.
management, sales pipeline, that sort of stuff.
Okay, so all right, let's go back to the show. So let's go back to where were the 5,000?
Yeah, more contacts means more money that you have to pay in order to retain the service. A lot of people don't like that. And so what we do is we provide an equivalent product as a WordPress plugin. So it's also self-hosted and you own all the data at a flat rate price, regardless of the new contacts that you have.
Like an annual flat rate price.
Annual flat rate, typical WordPress plugin distribution pricing. But when compared to the alternatives, which are mostly SaaSes, then it becomes a very attractive offer.
Now, if I wanted to just send out email and I didn't do anything with WordPress, could I still use your service?
Yeah, we have a bunch of customers that have Wix sites or Shopify. And what they do is they still want the self-hosting component, because when you have ActiveCampaign or HubSpot, if you stop paying, what happens to your data? It goes up in smoke. Like they just erase it. You don't own anything. You're renting space. It's the difference between like renting an apartment with a landlord and like owning a house, right? Is how hard to sort of picture that. They just load up a WordPress, a separate like satellite WordPress installation. They load Groundhog on it, and then they're off to the races.
Okay, so when did you start this? And you didn't start this right out of college, did you? No.
I basically, yeah. So I dropped out and then basically almost immediately started this.
What else can I ask you? Because you're so young, you haven't like lived.
So you did ask, when did this start? So this started in 20.
Yes, let's go back to that. Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad that you're paying attention. Yes. Okay. So when did it start? How did it start?
Well, it started, I mentioned previously FormLift, which is like the precursor. So that was my first attempt at like a WordPress plugin business.
Okay.
It got up to maybe like $6,000 a month in recurring revenue, which, for, I was 20 at that time. And, $6,000 a month, like 20, it's not bad. It's a lot. It was a fair amount of disposable income when you're living in a dirt cheap apartment in a fraternity. It's not a big deal. So you're going out, you're blowing all this money, right? And like, okay, but there's only so much money that this product can make because you're capped at the number of customers that Infusionsoft has. And then you're also capped at the sort of the Venn diagram intersection of Infusionsoft users and WordPress users. Okay. So I'm like, okay, so what can we do from a product company perspective? Because at the same time that I was doing that, I was working with my dad and my mom in our sort of family digital marketing agency, and doing email marketing and web pages and site builds for a whole host of different types of companies in Toronto. And all right, well, I want to do product work. I don't want to do agency work anymore. Let's think of something new. And we were using Infusionsoft primarily at the time. This product absolutely sucks. And why don't I just make a WordPress alternative to Infusionsoft? Because we did the form thing. What if we just made it all in WordPress? And sort of that's where I started.
All right, enough of the WordPress stuff. I mean, I have nothing against you or WordPress, but it's not a show about WordPress. And while you were talking, my mind did drift away a little bit, because I wanted to ask you about your love, or I don't know if it's love, but you do Lego.
I do Lego. I
love Lego.
I love Lego. It is a hobby that I wish I had more disposable income for.
What do I do? Buy the company?
That'd be nice. Maybe I'm a shareholder.
Yeah. What have you made?
I don't know if you published the video of this.
I generally don't.
We got Titanic. We've got a Star Wars Super Star Destroyer. We've got a bunch of different cars.
I am so jealous.
The Titanic one is my favorite at the moment. And I happen to know that my wife has purchased some Lego for me for Christmas as well. So I'm looking forward to that.
So check this out. So I have a 4-year-old grandson, and he's into Lego. And even the little piece Lego, he's already into like those little pieces, right? And I'm thinking I want to buy him so that the two of us can do something together. What do you suggest?
If he's 4, either the cars,
you have to make it so that I'll understand how to do it. Forget about him. I'm talking really about me.
How patient are you?
How patient? Wait a minute. You're not supposed to ask the questions here.
On a scale of 1 to 10, if you had to rate your patience, I'm like at a 9 or a 10 on the patience scale.
Oh, you're very patient.
I'm incredibly patient.
Yeah, I'm impatient with myself. I mean, I'm patient with myself and impatient with everybody else. That's fair.
So if you're impatient with yourself, I'd probably recommend...
No, I'm patient with myself.
Oh, you're patient with yourself and impatient.
Right.
All right, well, then if you're patient with yourself, I'd either go for like one of the Star Wars sets, because those are, classics, right? The Star Wars ones are always fun.
Yeah, but I like this Titanic thing.
So the Titanic is the second largest Lego set that they've ever
Is that so? What does it cost?
That in Canadian money, it was about $1,000.
You're kidding.
No, that's what it cost.
So that'd be like about $30 here.
I think it was like $700 when it went on sale last year. Yeah. It's 1.5 meters long. It's huge.
Oh, I don't want that. The parents would kill me for that.
It's 10,000 pieces. So
I won't live long enough. But how about the space shuttle I've been thinking about? Do they do the space shuttle? I'm sure.
Yeah, like the Endeavor,
one of those that blew up.
Yeah, those ones are beautiful. Those are beautiful sets.
And what do those cost?
Those are only like $200 to $300.
Okay, that's more reasonable. I ain't paying no $1,000 for any like plastic toy. I mean, that's crazy. I cannot believe. When this is done, you have to send me a picture.
It's very cool because it actually splits up into 3 sections and all of the interior.
Just like it actually did.
Well, yeah, but you can see all of the interior and the engines work and the propellers rotate.
I am a Titanic freak like most people, like most guys are. It seems to be a guy thing.
I'll just show you again. That whole top shell is actually all Titanic stuff.
Oh my goodness. It is massive. You can't even put it in a bathtub. I mean, it's huge.
I've got actually probably a concerning amount of Titanic stuff because that was my obsession when I was 7.
How many times have you seen the movie?
I've only ever seen the movie end to end complete once, but I've seen the documentaries and like the James and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Dozens of times.
How about, did you ever see like the original Titanic, the unsinkable Molly Brown? Did you ever see that?
I don't think so.
Oh, you have to see that. I think it was made in the 40s or 50s. Just check it, the unsinkable Molly Brown. Oh,
I've seen like the Raise the Titanic one, if you've ever seen that.
Maybe it's called Raise the Titanic. I don't know. I thought it was called the unsinkable, but there's been a bunch of them. Oh, I love it. It's an incredible story.
So there's a bunch of like conspiracies right now circulating that they actually swapped out the Titanic with its sister ship, the Olympic, right before the Titanic's like quote unquote maiden voyage, because the Olympic ran into a destroyer and was basically a write-off, but the White Star Line couldn't afford it because they wouldn't get insured. And so they swapped him out at the last minute and then sank it as an insurance scam. And that's a fun conspiracy too, because they're looking at like the James Cameron footage, right? And windows on like the second or third deck, right, are the wrong spacing and wrong widths, and they're comparing that to the original drawings of the Olympic versus Titanic. It's very interesting. I highly recommend anyone who's a little bit conspiratorial go check out that one because that one's a little bit fun. But
yeah. So tell me, how did your parents meet?
Seriously, bud? Why do you want to know that?
There you go. Because I've asked a lot of people in the WordPress world, how did you meet your parents? Most of them say, oh, how did your parents meet? Most of them say, I don't know.
So my dad's originally a jazz musician, jazz pianist, and he was playing at the Hotel Jazz Club in Montreal. And my mom came into the club one day with her friend, and she was not interested.
Right.
Her friend was interested.
Oh. Huh.
But my dad wasn't interested in the friend. He was interested in my mom. And so they kept coming back because the friend was interested, and he kept trying to seal the deal with my mom. And that eventually worked out for him.
Yeah. Hopefully for her too. Did you have any brothers or sisters?
I do not. It's just me.
Wow.
I'm the miracle.
How was that? I mean, you have nothing to compare it to. It's kind of a silly question because, like, I don't know. I was always an only child.
Oh, my wife teases me constantly because I have, quote, only child syndrome.
What is that?
As an inability to share, and unrealistic expectations of the behavior of others. I have these only child syndrome symptoms, right? And she had a brother, and so their dynamic is like totally different to
meaning they don't get along.
Oh, they get along fine as she's older than my brother. So they get along fine when they're not completely tormenting each other. But I have like no baseline to like compare it to.
Now, do you follow any of the local sports? Well, you don't have any local sports in Niagara Falls, but
well, we have the Niagara Ice Dogs, and we also have the River Lions, River Lions, the basketball team, Ice Dogs, the OHL hockey team.
Do you ice skate? Well, there's no place to ski around there, right?
I'm not good at it.
You can't. There's no mountains around. There's no hills really around Niagara Falls.
No, but I have a car. We have places we can go that are within.
Where do you go? Do you go skiing? Where do you go?
Yeah, if you go skiing, we can go to Blue Mountain. My mom's side of the family is from Quebec, so we're actually for Christmas we're all going to Saint Donat, which is near Tremblant. And so,
I've been there. Yeah, great place, right?
So we're probably not going to go to Tremblant itself because it's very touristy and very busy. Saint Donat had beautiful ski hall, which is much more like restrained, but it's still huge and beautiful. And so we're going to get that.
If you've never gone skiing, just the beauty of skiing is worth learning how to ski. It really is. Just getting out a ski lift,
dress warm.
When you get up to 4,000 or 5,000 feet, and it's so cold, you're figuring out, how am I going to survive to get down to the bottom of the mountain? I haven't skied in a while. My wife broke her hip and she really can't ski anymore. Or they told her she can't ski because if she breaks her hip again, there won't be a hospital nearby to go to, in all likelihood. it could be messy. And I mean, she would love to ski and she's in very good shape, but it's probably not a smart thing to do because if she doesn't do it, well, I don't do it, but we've had our skiing and ice skating. Do you ice skate too?
I can. I'm a better skier than I am an ice skater.
By better skier, you mean black diamonds, all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I can do those. Well, I don't think I can do them like super gracefully, but I can.
Well, I couldn't do black diamonds even in my prime. I mean, I could do blue trails,
Yeah.
But when I would see all those moguls,
I prefer leisurely to like adrenaline. I don't need to be bombing down a hill at 60 kilometers an hour. I don't need to do it. Nice trail. That's what I prefer to do. I have my best friend. His name's Mike. He lives in Toronto, but he's the bigger skier and he's the dedicated skier and he's the adrenaline junkie when it comes to that stuff. And I'm just like, could do a few slopes, grab some hot chocolate, right? Just enjoy myself. Right. I'm not here to prove anything.
You being so close to Niagara Falls, do you ever go to Niagara Falls?
The only reason we go to the falls is to bring people that have never seen them that are visiting us. Or sometimes we will drive because they do fireworks every day during the summer over the falls. Every day.
Here's the important question. When was the last time you were on Maid of the Mist?
I've never been on the Maid of the Mist.
What?
Yeah.
No, I highly recommend it. It's a very cool touristy thing to do.
I did the Whirlpool jet boats once. Further down the Niagara River, it's called the Whirlpool, where all of the runoff from Niagara Falls sort of ends up. And it's this big bowl. If you fell in there, you'd drown in seconds. It's certain death if you fell in there.
Wow.
But they have these jet boats where you'll strap in a roller coaster and they'll go right in there and you'll just be bumping around.
Is that so? When did they start that? I don't think I've ever heard of this.
That's been around for decades.
So before we finish up here, I have one last question, which is it's not what you think, but what was the last time you did something for the first time?
The last time
What was the last thing you did for the first time?
The last thing I did for the first time. Now that's an interesting question. Is it okay if I take a second to think about it?
Well, we finally got to an interesting question.
Yeah.
It took a while, but we got there. Okay.
The last time I did something for the first time.
Yeah. That you could talk about. What an exciting life you have had to this point, I must say. Come on. You got to have something.
I'm really trying to think of not only something, but, some there's some mundane stuff.
It is okay.
Mundane is okay. Yeah. Doing something for, I have an answer. The cop-out answer is the last time I did something the first time was when I got married, because it's the first time I ever got married.
That's true.
So I did that for the first time. But immediately after our wedding...
Was that the mundane answer?
No, that's the mundane answer is coming up. So
okay.
Immediately after that, we came home because we got married nearby. We got married in a vineyard. And I came home and my best man, my Mike, who's from Toronto, he was staying at our house while we stayed at a hotel or something. Because, you don't want to go immediately home the day of your wedding.
No.
And so he was staying here. And so we came back here and he had bought for us as our wedding present, a charcoal barbecue. Now I have used a propane barbecue.
Yes.
My entire life. And I'm a big fan of propane, propane and propane accessories. And I was very explicit with him that when I was going to get a barbecue, that it would be propane. He is a big charcoal guy, and he thinks charcoal is superior, which,
it is. It is.
Got the stuff.
Yes, of course it is. But it's not supposed to be, it's bad for you.
It tastes great.
Well, that's the point, which is if it tastes great, it's got to be bad for you. Everybody knows that. That's the secret of life. As my father used to say all the time. But charcoal broiled something is better than propane broiled something.
And so,
of course it is. Yeah.
I didn't own a barbecue at this point, propane or otherwise. I just used them whenever they've been accessible. So I'm setting up this charcoal barbecue and now I'm cooking on charcoal. And despite being I really need to get the propane one, but I don't have one. And so I just go out and I use charcoal and the food tastes great. And so I started doing charcoal for the first time.
And what do you think? I'm not going back.
Hard to argue with results. Preparing and cooking anything takes 3 times as long.
With charcoal.
With charcoal. Because, you gotta...
Oh, because you gotta
light it, right? You gotta let the funnel, smoke up and everything. You gotta get charcoal thought. And, you gotta go maintain it and fiddle with the...
You gotta clean up the coals. And
and it's, propane just...
Yeah, but it's worth it. It's worth it. It tastes much better. I know it's bad for you, okay, but it tastes better. We have really run the gamut on this show here. I said before it was a show about nothing. Boy, did I prove it. We start off with home improvements and we do charcoal grills. We run the gamut. So, all right, we've come to that point in the show where I'm going to ask you, and you can only give me one answer here. Who do you suggest that I have for a future episode? It couldn't be a past episode of Seriously, Bud?
My support guy, his name is Greg Franklin. He's the one who actually sent me your show and is like, you should be on this.
That is so funny because I don't know if he knows me. I do know who you're talking about, although I don't know him. And you are the second person. So he's a two-time recommendation because Mark Benzicaine also recommended Greg. So Greg, if you're listening, make sure you get in touch with me because I want you on the show.
Yeah, so he's formerly of Server Press, which it lost out to local, but when it was around,
it was great.
And it worked, and it did what it was supposed to. And Greg found second purpose in sort of helping me after Server Press. I'm pretty sure we're like the first gig at post Server Press that he's had. And so, I mean, he might correct me when he's on your show, but
well, I'm going to get him on, and either you or Mark will get him on for me, or apparently he knows of me, so we'll get there. Adrian, thank you so much for doing this. I'm sorry that I had to interrupt your busy day.
That's okay. I forgive you.
All right, and I will meet one of these days, I'm sure.
Next WordCamp Canada, it's happening, same place. I will be there.
I'm not so sure about going to WordCamp Canada.
You didn't like Ottawa?
Can we have it in Toronto, please? Ottawa? Sorry.
That's what I said.
Ottawa? Are you serious? Could you have a more boring place? Sorry to say this, but a more boring? It is.
It is. Ottawa is not it. It's not
It's so dreadful. It really
is dreadful. It's so it's bureaucratic.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about Ottawa. I've been to Ottawa several times for various work things. And you go to the bar, you turn to the person on your right. Oh, it's nice to meet you. What do you do? It's like, oh, I work for the government. You're like, oh, okay. Right? And then you turn to the left and like, what do you do? Oh, I work for the government. And so everybody in Ottawa just works for the government. And it's this very sleepy town. Everything closes.
I know. It sucks.
Anyway.
All right. I mean, it doesn't. Yeah.
I promised the WordCamp Canada organizers that I wouldn't rag on it too much. So.
I didn't promise. And even if I did, I wouldn't keep it.
But I believe you. And even better, I think Toronto is the obvious choice. Obviously, there's financial implications.
Yes, I know.
In Toronto.
Because nobody wants to go to Ottawa, so that's why it's
very
cheaper.
Expensive to stay there in Toronto. It's very expensive to get space in Toronto to host it. But you know what's closer to Toronto than Ottawa? Niagara Falls.
That is true.
And we have the most beautiful brand new convention center.
All right, well, you got to talk to the Canadian.
Oh, I'm way ahead of you. I do not have the time to be the point person, but my wife has several times expressed interest in being the person on the ground to make WordCamp Canada happen in Niagara Falls. Because we have the falls, we have the casino, we have a bunch of restaurants. Yeah, we got stuff to do here, man.
And on the American side, wait a minute. On the American side, you have Watson's Candy. Do you know about Watson? You don't know
I do not know about Watson.
Oh, sponge candy like you cannot believe.
Watson's. I'm writing that down.
That's something that WordCamp Canada should know about. Hey, we got to go. So, Adrian, thanks again. And I'll be talking to you.
Fantastic. All right. I loved it. Cheers.
Hey, I didn't know that Adrian loves the wine country in and around Niagara Falls, Canada, but has never been to the Finger Lakes region in New York. Made $6,000 a month when he was 20 years old. Built a Titanic Lego set, which cost $1,000. And suffers from, or maybe he's proud of, his only child syndrome. Did you? As always, you can catch the past episodes of Seriously Bud at seriouslybud.com. Until next time, thank you for your time.